And we are live.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Friendly Differences podcast. I'm your host Baram Yu, and beside me we have across the
Solid Blue
pond
Sister.
my other co-host, and tonight we have a special guest, one that you have probably seen if you watched the episode on religion and spirituality. We had a guest appearance from Sava. Oh, that way. Sava.
Wait, that way. Yes, Sava.
Sava has been a friend of the show and a friend of ours over the pond on my phone, on Telegram, the world of Telegram. I've got Sava there, and Sava has been a wealth of knowledge for me and a really helpful, especially when it comes to health, which we've all been affected by in the last couple of years, and just a wealth of knowledge. I came across Sava on Podbean again, where she was co-hosting another show for a good while, and I just loved tuning in and listening to the knowledge, and we've kind of bonded over the conspiracy stuff. And Solid Blue, if you want to take over and say a little bit how you know Sava.
Well, I met Sava on a podcast, and I think when we first met each other, so to speak, we were kind of butted heads a little bit, but I always liked Sava. I think we're different in different ways in terms of our views and what have you. Well, definitely in terms of our views, but with some people, like with you, Ba, different people can work, and we work. So, so
yeah,
I like Sava.
Yeah. So Sava, would you like to? I can't believe I've never asked you this before. Maybe you don't want to say, but the name Sava, like, what's? It's not your name, is it? It's an alias, is it?
It is my code name. Yes.
Yes. And what does it mean, or are you willing to divulge?
It means a lot of things, actually. I originally spelt it with a C instead of an S. For Sava, it's French. It's a French greeting. Have you heard that before?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
like comment ça va? You say ça va bien.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like a greeting at first, and then everyone kept calling me Kava, and even though I would correct them, they would still call me Kava. So I changed it to Sava, and then I was like, I like that. Kind of reminds me of savage.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to certain things, I've been called, relentless. But I think that I could be pretty savage, relentless, I don't know, so now on Podbean I'm going by Sava G1 with the number 1. So it's kind of like saying I'm the savage one. Mm-hmm. And I'm the solution savage, because if my friends come to me and complain, I'm going to find a solution, and I'm relentless about it. And so there's some friends, the ones that just like to complain, they stop complaining to me or stop talking to me, which is kind of sad, but it saves me a lot of time and worry, because I stress out over other people's stress, and it's a difficult struggle a lot of the time.
Well, I would
so I
like
don't
to
socialize a whole lot in person.
I would like to say one thing. Sava corrected me one time on the CAVA. She said Sava, and I got it right, unlike some people that I know who still say Kava, and we won't say who that is, but they're in the middle. So but
that's okay. You know what? He's my brother, and he's grandfathered in.
He's grandfathered in. Okay. So before we get started even more, and I know Ba, you're supposed to be taking lead, but do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, or we can just start getting into the conversation.
Let's have a little bit of convo.
Mhm.
Okay, all right.
Could I, first and foremost, you were involved in another. Well, we'll say it's Doomsday. You were kind of co-hosting with him on his show, and I'm just intrigued to know. I mean, I know, so mainly for the listeners and maybe even Solid Blue, what was it that kind of um, got you into podcasting? What was it, like conspiracies, or was it politics, or like, we could probably start the conversation with some of that.
Well, so I'm a big introvert, but I like attention, and I'm not afraid to admit that. So when I started doing my music video producing, as a brand new baby amateur, I dabbled a little bit in it on other platforms, pre-records, of course, with like Spreaker and Anchor. And I thought to myself, like, man, wouldn't it be great if I could make money doing this? So that was my kind of my drive at first. However, I'm not that money driven. I do like attention, and I have a lot to say. And Podbean really helped me shine because there's actual people to talk to. It was already all set up, and the people who would want to do it were all there. It seems like the people who are interested in these kind of things are few and far between in the world physically, which I find pretty interesting. Like it's just odd, because I have a lot of friends we talk shit about, like, oh, let's do a podcast. Oh, we should totally do a podcast. But they never do, you
Mhm.
know. So Podbean, it was a place where you went and those people were already there,
Mhm.
and so it really helped me like shine. And then I found, I learned some things about myself. I don't really enjoy being the main host because it's a lot of responsibility,
Well, I'm
and I
sorry,
like to
you
put
don't
myself.
really. I'm sorry, you don't really what?
I don't like to be the main host.
Oh, the main host. Okay.
Yeah, I like to be the co-host, or as I would call it, the coho, because like, I'll coho on almost anyone's show that lets me, you know.
But when you co-host, I mean, because
Mhm.
Va and I, we co-host, but we're both hosts, so we take turns. So, I mean,
Right. I don't
so
like
what's
to
the
run the
difference?
show. I don't like to be the owner.
Mhm. I
Yeah,
get
but I
that
like to
because
be part of
Okay,
it.
okay.
that's why I took so long to start my own show, and even now it's like every Thursday, and even then I'm still not doing every Thursday because it's a real gift to be able to jump on a podcast and be able to talk on your own and keep structured. Like I like to have someone on there with me to go back and forth with. And even though tonight I'm supposed to be taking the lead, I'm kind of hoping that Solid Blue jumps in with her usual line of questioning because I've told Solid Blue off air, like that is a real gift to be able to think of the next question and then pivot with the answer to the next question. And sometimes I don't possess that gift. And
Mm.
I think it's a shame for, I've said to Sava a few times, I'd love for Sava to get her own podcast because it, when you were co-hoing with Jester on It's Doomsday, everyone was
Mhm.
kind of tuning in and listening to what you had to say, and you kind of held a presence when you had the mic. Everyone was like really listening, especially, well, I know I was. And I think when you look into a subject, whether it's a conspiracy or not, you will do it justice. You'll look into it and you'll do its due diligence. I always mess that up. So I'm always
Mhm.
saying whenever I talk to Sava on Telegram, when you coming out with a new show, and but obviously I don't want to put pressure on you because, like you've just said, it is it's a lot of
Mhm.
responsibility, and it's a big take on. So yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And also like it's just like I'm not good at really directing people. If I have to tell you more than once, I start to get irritated. I'm just being honest.
no, I mean, and I that's I think that's the first time when I was on Doomsday that we were going back and forth because we were
We were
talking about.
I guess kind of, but you came in when I was already frustrated with people because I don't like being interrupted, and the longer I stay on that, and I don't mean to gossip, but this is just my experience. The longer I stayed on the show, it's like people got comfortable, and they didn't, respect the fact that when I had the floor, because I would be really patient and wait a long time, let everyone talk, get it out of their system, but we like to party, and I get that. But when I open up my mouth and I'm trying to convey a message, or share information, like being interrupted really irks me, especially when they're interrupting me with their rhetorical questions because they don't agree with what I'm saying or challenging them too much. You know what I mean?
But when I popped on, whatever, I was listening to you. I was listening to you, and that's why I kept coming back and asking you things. So I know I remember that show, and I know that people were just jumping in and interrupting and what have you, But
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to you, and that's why I think we were going back and forth, and maybe if you were already irritated, I think that's why I remember saying something like, "Are you getting upset that I don't uh, 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 uh,
No,
agree
I'll tell
with
you
you?"
exactly what was said. I'll tell you
Okay, go
exactly what was
ahead.
said.
Go ahead.
So we were talking about cancel culture, or I brought up cancel culture as a part of what we were talking about.
No, we were talking about
And
the
you,
vaccine. We were talking about the vaccine.
yes, we were. And then I brought up cancel culture.
Okay.
And that is when me and you touched, like, so to speak. Okay. That's so, and you were like, because you do have a stutter, and you were like, you chimed in the middle of my sentence. You're like, well, why do they call it uh cancel culture, like why did they call it, like, what? And I remember I leaned in and I go, because that is what it's called. And you go, oh, okay.
Sounds like a
Okay.
show I need to go and
Okay.
listen
See,
to.
I,
Okay.
I think that we need to review that show
Mhm.
because the cancel culture, I was going back and forth with one particular person, and I'm not going to say their name because
Mhm.
we got into it and he said some really nasty things. So I'm not going to say this person's name, but but the very first time that we were going back and forth was on the vaccine because you were getting frustrated because I said that I was vax, and I would, and this was before the boosters had come out, and I said I would probably get the booster, and you were saying over, you were talking about that. But I do remember with the whole cancel culture thing, this other person was what was on, and I had asked before on my show because he was on my show, and I said I don't understand and I still don't. It's something that a group of
Don't
people
understand what.
came up with. I don't understand what cancel culture is. I don't understand. I mean, I just don't. And when you said that, this other person said something like, "Well, I tried to explain it to her on her show, and she just didn't get it." And I was like, I still don't get it. I still don't get what cancel culture is. I mean, to me, it's like, I think it's a stupid term, and it's like,
It started out
so.
with the Me Too movement. The Me Too, the
I mean, but
hashtag
even
Me
but
Too.
even with the hashtag me too, it's like, where y'all coming up with this stuff?
Okay, do you know
So
what a false flag is? It's kind of
yes.
like within that realm of concept. Okay, it's by design,
Oh,
and
everything's
they go
always by
after
design.
people. They virtue signal. They're trying to set an atmosphere um, of constraint and intolerance, and ruin people's lives and everything. And it's just a huge distraction, really. Big, toxic, huge distraction.
Mhm.
Well,
Everything you see and hear on the media, including this, is a huge distraction to your life. Go outside. Go
I
hang out
mean,
with your friends. Get off the internet.
everything is, you know, once. I mean, this is where Ba and I were kind of going back and forth this morning, and this is where I say, if you say something about one side, you got to say it about the other. If you say something about this person, because everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody's talking about everybody. Everybody's, blaming somebody for something. You're going to blame me. I'm going to blame you, and we all do it.
Not me. I,
Well,
I, I don't blame us. We are unwitting. We are
Well,
programmable
I
beings. I'm sorry,
I
it's
I
just a
have
thing.
to
We are
I
socially
agree
engineered.
with that. I agree with that to a point because I think that in the end, I come. This is just the phrase that I use. Individual responsibility.
Yes,
We
that's the
all
thing. We're
have it.
all a bunch of
So
children. We're
but
all
we
children.
all
We've been treated like children by the government. I
but
COVID
you have
came
the
before
right
we kind of
to
realized this.
determine. You have the right to determine which path to take, and that's why
Yeah,
I hate to hear people say, well, you know, the government, made maybe do this. Well, did the government make you go out and shoot somebody? Did the government make you go out and steal your neighbor's car? Did the government make you beat your kid? Did the government make you? It's like,
no, but the
have,
government made you immature to do such things.
well, no, because but
Mhm.
maturity, I have to
We've been
disagree with
stunted.
that.
No, I mean, come on now, like media. If you grew up, watching cartoons and like watching television, you have been programmed in such a way that it just to be stunted.
Okay.
And
I think I can add to
everybody's
that.
emotionally immature. Almost
I,
everybody,
Yeah, I think I can add a
even
quick
me.
point to that. I don't know if I'm paraphrasing for you, Sava, but do you mean like for someone to go out and shoot a gun and kill people, there has to be government fault there with the upbringing of that person? And I know a lot of the blame. I've often advocated that parents are punished for crime because it's their fault as well. They brought up that human being and obviously didn't do a good job for that human being to then go and shoot up a school or even steal a car. Like the parents should be punished. I think there's a definitely a conversation to be
The
had.
media
It's not
should be punished for glamorizing it when they did.
that
And
as well,
to
but
make
I
a
think
movie about Columbine, I mean, movies, people love movies.
Oh
Have you ever
yeah.
been to the
Oh
movie
yeah.
theater? You know when you leave the movie theater, do you feel some kind of way? Admit it. You do, don't you?
I have not been in a movie theater since Cars came out in 2005. I don't go to movie theaters.
Cars? Oh, the
No,
movie?
the animated.
the animated movie Cars. I have not been
Yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
a movie
But
theater.
you remember being at the movie theater,
Oh yeah,
correct?
yeah.
Okay. And when you were leaving the movie theater, when you were walking out, you felt euphoric in a way.
Well, no, I would come out saying that movie was either stupid or that movie was funny or that movie was scary, whatever.
You've
I
never
didn't.
left a movie theater feeling euphoric.
Well, when you say that word, what do you mean by euphoric? Because euphoric to me is like, hey,
So
yeah,
every
oh,
movie, like every movie you've ever been to, and maybe it's the movie choice, I don't know, but you walk out with disdain.
Yeah, I went to watch the new Batman in January, and I came out feeling euphoric, and I came out, and this is going to sound really bad, especially on a podcast when this goes out, but don't take it the wrong way. But there's a theory that the bad man in the Batman film, the Joker, is actually the
Mhm.
good guy, and I know what he's doing is wrong. He's going the wrong way about it, but he's
That was my favorite
exposing
Joker movie.
yeah, he's exposing the flaws in the world by showing how corrupt the world is, but
I
he's
feel
doing
like
it
the
in the wrong
Joker.
way. And that's what the media will play off people like me and say that people like me are the ones going into schools and shooting up, but we're not. We want better. I want better for you and you and you. I want everyone to live the life that we should be living instead of this Gotham like crime ridden, polluted, sick world that we live in.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean by I think Sava's relating to coming out of a movie going, wow, that was amazing. That was a really good
No,
film.
no,
Like,
that's not how I came. I came out. Okay, let me tell you something about
yeah,
people, Bob. There are people in this world who think that murder is a good idea. I was
I
one
believe
of
that.
those people.
mhm,
I believe that.
I I have a history of mental illness. And I used to sit in my apartment in my early 20s. I had a good, not a good job, but I had a good paying job and I had time on my hands. Probably too much, but I used to sit around my apartment all day thinking about how I could get away with murder. I really wanted to kill somebody.
gee,
I don't know why. I was just an angry person. I had a really chaotic childhood growing up. But let me tell you something, Bot. This is what I want the message to get through. Not everyone's like you. Not everyone thinks like you. There's people who see that as a solution sometimes, you know? It's really unfortunate, but it's, you know, it's out there. So when media glamorizes it, like when they show gangsters all, you know, like you know that one movie Straight Outta Compton, or like, you know, like stuff like that, for example, okay? They glorify it, or they glamorize it, and they put ideas in people's heads. They make it look cool. They make them feel confident in doing such a thing. And I think that, they're being programmed into crossing over to the dark side. And I think that, there's a threshold that those kind of people have, and when it's crossed, you're entering the danger zone. And they were putting more effort and time and money into movies than they were tackling the mental health issue.
I understand that, but this is where I understand when people say the media, but it's not just the media. It still comes down to your own personal, your own personal choice.
Correct.
The media was not around. I mean, granted, the media with social media and Facebook and Twitter and TikTok and all this other stuff and Podbean, the media is out there. But at the same time, the media wasn't around the way it was 200 years ago. It wasn't around the way it is, back in 10, 12, whatever. And
the world
people are
was a better
still,
place 200 years ago.
but at the same, I have to disagree, because you still had people who were still had wars. People were still trying to take over this and take over that. They were still killing. This is all stuff that we
And
know.
who authorized that? Who made that happen?
But that's not the media.
No, it's the other media.
You may be able to say the government
it's the
of
other
those
power
particular
control.
things, whatever. But I'm just saying that when people say the media, and it's interesting, the people who continuously say the media are getting stuff from the media to say stuff about the media.
Let me ask you a question.
And that's true.
Would you agree at all that the media has some kind of authority?
Oh, definitely, yes. But do they have? Am I going to blame the media 100%? Absolutely not. Because if that's the case, then we would all be running around.
Are you gonna blame guns?
Anarchy?
Do you think if you had to choose between media and people having the right to bear arms, what would you choose if you had to choose?
You have the right to bear arms. I don't have a problem with people having a right to bear arms. Do it. I don't have a problem, because guns are not killing people. Crazy people with guns are killing people. The people who make that individual choice to pick up that gun and shoot their neighbor, or do that drive-by, whatever, or and that baby gets caught in the crossfire, or you go to a school or go to movie theater, whatever.
Do you think that people can be weaponized?
Yes. And they have been. I think soldiers are, when they go to war, they are weaponized.
Now, I'm not trying to say that we should relinquish all responsibility, like we shouldn't hold these people, what's the word I'm looking for? Accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, yes. But we only know about these things because of the media, correct?
To a certain degree.
There's a lot of shit going on in the world.
I am just saying that you cannot make broad statements, because no one knows everything. No one has experienced everything. No one has experienced, stuff that goes on in India. I can't say, because I don't live there. I don't know everything that's going on there.
Mm-hmm. I agree. You can't. You can say broad opinions if it's just your opinion, but this is where me and you have gone back and forth for the last couple of weeks on. You can't make laws or affect other people's lives on broad opinions.
And I don't disagree with that. But what I always come back and what I always say is that it's not just one side that's doing it. Everybody's doing it.
Yeah,
If you're going to
yeah.
say that, but you tend to want to point out one particular side, and
No,
that's
that
why I no hold on. Yes, you do, because I have to come back and say, well, you got to look at this person. You got to look at this, because
no,
the bottom
no,
line is, Bob, we're all, you
yeah,
blame this person, I'm gonna blame that person. That
no.
person
What
gonna blame me, I'm gonna blame them.
I
Well,
know
the
you
fact,
hate it, but like, see, when I say the left, right? I openly admit I know the right do it, and I've said this many times on Friendly Differences and on your show. This is why I pull back from politics, because I know both sides are at it. Both sides are playing a game. The right do it as much as the left, but what I see
Did you just
is
say you pulled back from politics?
yeah. I always say that. I do, because you'll never find me defending a politician, because I know if they're in politics, they've done some dirty shit. They've said some dirty shit, because it's all part of the plan. They say things that they'll antagonize, and then it'll be brought up years later and be like, "Oh, you said that," and that's why if you go defending or loving a Trump or a Biden or a Clinton or an Obama, you're a fool, because you're always going to have something thrown up. So I don't follow politics or
it's
people. I have
they're
my
not
moral.
fooled. They've been
I,
fooled, yes. They're not fools. But see, this is where I blame the media, okay? Because they know how your brain works. They know your personality type. They know how to get you, okay?
Mhm,
They know how to suck you in. I've been sucked in. I've been there. I've been there. I've been there.
mhm,
And I was able to pull back and see it for what it was. And it's
mhm,
unfortunate that they use things, they're utilizing things that people hold dear, like the right to vote. That is a great concept. It's a great thing. And it should be that way. But unfortunately, it's a veil, and they're using it. They've weaponized our good intentions.
mhm. How do you feel about that, Solid? Like I know we seem to blame the media. Like Sava, I don't realize how like you're the same as me on that. If we blame the media, the government, and the reason why I do is because the best way I can put it is your opinion, Solid, mine's, and Sava's, everyone's opinion is not their own unless you look into the other side and educate yourself by looking at other sources. But 90, I strongly believe that a good 80 to 90% of the world's population just believe the media. They will just watch the news and they'll watch it for fact. And they don't even know about people like me or people that dig and look into things. They just think
They,
it's
they think they
that's
do, though,
yeah,
because
But
the media told them.
yeah.
I'm what you just said. I
Mhm,
think you're absolutely right. I think that the vast majority of people will turn on Channel Two, Fox, CNN, MSNBC, whatever, BBC, whatever, and they will say,
mhm,
"Well, this person said it. Joe Smith, who's the anchor at 8 p.m., said that this is what it is. So this is what it is." I totally think that is true. But you do have people like me, who you all may not think so, who will look at things and people will say stuff, and I'm like, well, hold on, and I'm not glued to my TV constantly. I mean, there's not one person that I listen to, or I'm going to turn this on, whatever. I do go do my research, but if it pops up that I'm going to go left as opposed to going right, or go right instead of going left, or go straight and not necessarily think what someone else thinks, that's the choice. That's a decision that I came up with. And the thing that I do is, I'm not going to argue with someone over and over and over. If you choose to go that route, God bless you. Bless you. You go that route. If that's what you've looked up, and that's what you think, and you've done your research and you've done that, or even if you haven't, if you want to do what you are going to do, God bless you, because it, to me, I've just gotten to the point where it's just not worth arguing with people. So that's when I just step back and say, you keep going round and round and round and round, And that's when I just say, you know what? I'm not going to argue with you anymore. That's when I remove myself either from someone's life or from the situation or from the room, whatever, because to me, it's just not worth it. It just isn't.
Yes, that's good self-advocating. You got to preserve yourself. I never got into politics until COVID because this thing that happened, uh, it stood out to me, and I saw it as a huge threat to everybody. That is why I put down my mic, picked up Wikipedia, and a bunch of other sources led me to so many different things. Past 2 years, I've learned more than I ever dreamed I could. So there's a silver lining, I guess, but that particular topic is, I think, the most important topic
Yeah.
when it comes to stuff like this, like politics
Okay.
and
Okay.
I've definitely
relations.
seen
Okay.
I've
So
definitely seen a
yeah,
huge, Telegram, for instance. You go into Telegram, and there's group chats with hundreds of thousands of people in it, and it's all people that have kind of looked at COVID, researched it, and they've came to the same conclusion as I have. But that's maybe their first thing. It's kind of woke them up. We say woke up. I don't like that phrase, but it's kind of like sent
it's been
alarm bells
stigmatized.
ringing.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you go into those groups, and everyone's sending in articles about Bill Gates, about Fauci, and all that, and it's good. And I think that's something that the very limit that we should be whenever something happens is don't just do what I said and sit down and take the news for fact. Go and research it and find out things for yourself. But we're so distracted in the way the world's set up with working 40, 50, 60 hour weeks and all this other distractions that nobody's really got time for that unless you sacrifice some of your own time, which again, a lot of people just want to come home, eat, watch some comedy and laugh and go to sleep because the stresses of life are too much. But for some of us, well, I'll speak for myself, it's got me hooked. And I know Solid Blue, you've mentioned a few times, like, do I ever turn it off? And I was thinking about this actually today, and I can't remember what my point was, but basically, it's like I don't want to turn it off because it's enlightening. It's like I see the world in a different way, and it's a better different way. And I mean, what you just said, solid there. That's the all that we can ask. If you and I see that in you because you obviously we have a laugh and a joke that you're a closet conservative. So I clearly know you do your research. Like you look into things and you make your own mind up. Otherwise, you would be polarized one way. You would be full blown leftist or full blown right. And I think both of those are wrong. I think there's clearly something wrong there.
Well, I mean, I just don't like people, and I'm just talking about myself, just me. I don't like people assuming that I don't do things or I do certain things, whatever, because there's there's a lot of things,
I'm sure
you
me and
know,
Ba can empathize with you greatly.
so, but at the same time, it's like I don't want to be that person where if I'm sitting and watching a movie that I'm dissecting it and I'm saying, well, the government's doing this or the media is doing this, whatever. I
You
don't
think
want
I
to
want to be that person?
wait, but I
I
mean,
don't.
I'm just saying that if I'm going to spend $20 to go and sit in a theater,
Mhm.
whatever, I want to just sit and just enjoy the damn movie.
Mhm.
Okay. If we
Like we
want to,
used to
if we
before
want
COVID.
to,
Yes, I
I
totally
mean,
understand. Yeah,
so, but I'm just
totally.
saying, I can't, for me personally, I can't live my life constantly
Mhm.
thinking about, and even when I go on my tangents about certain things, whatever, sometimes I do have to say, okay, put it to the side, go pick this up and start doing this, or go start doing this, because to me your brain does need to just calm down, whatever, and
Mhm.
just go over there, go outside,
You
go
know,
play with the dog, whatever.
Solid, you play a very vital role in this whole situation. So human beings, we work as a system together naturally. Okay, there's protagonists like you, Solid. There's defenders like you, Ba, and then there are, what am I? The gatherers, the gatherers and the givers of information. Um, and I'm like the security almost, like secure. I'm the alerter. Okay,
But don't you think that we all are?
and we all play, huh?
Don't you think that we all are? We all are playing those all. We're all playing those
Well,
roles.
we could. It depends on the dynamics. That's the thing about people and their personality types and their cognitive functions. When you're around certain people, you naturally take on a different energy and roles within that organization, whether it be two
So
people,
true.
3 people, 4 people at a school, at your job, out on the playground. We naturally take on roles as a system. Um, and so Solid, if it weren't for you, I don't think I would have matured as I did to be able to communicate with certain people who had different views. So thank you for that. And Ba, you were a great support. Like you made me feel supported and encouraged me to keep going.
Well, go ahead. Go ahead,
I,
Bob.
I get that because if you don't mind me saying, Sava, at the start when I first heard you on It's Doomsday, a lot of the times, like, and you've alluded to it here as well, you could be quite, if someone disagreed with you, you would be very fiery. And some people like it, some people don't. Some people can push back, some people can't. And I noticed that, and again, we wouldn't be friends if I didn't think otherwise. But I know, like, you're very passionate about your message, and that's a great asset to have. And you've just said there that Solid Blues kind of helped you with that, and I totally get where you're coming from because even myself,
Yeah.
like there was I told Solid Blue this the very first time I entered Solid Blue's show. It was a racial topic, and it could have gone either way with me. Where on a different night, I might have said a disrespectful comment because I'd heard too much about it, and it was like, oh, and then we would never have had this show. But it's all about refining that. And sometimes I think the biggest problem with people is getting the message across because they could have a really good message, but if they're going to be like just horrible about it or the way they put it across, they're going to lose the whole message. So I totally get where you're coming from there.
But when you first came on my show, and then you came back, and then you came back again, and we were talking about different stuff, whatever.
I don't know
I
if it's my
always
network or your guys' network, but I'm having trouble hearing you guys.
Okay, I think it's yours because you've frozen
Yeah,
a
you're
couple of I think
yeah.
you've frozen a couple of times. But I never I like you. And in
Mhm.
fact, Shiley and I, we were talking about you because we were trying to figure out how old you were. Because I told you until I met you, I thought you were this older guy.
Yeah.
So hold on here. So
Have we lost Sava?
let's see. Wait, hold on. Okay, there we go.
I think
Yeah.
my
Okay,
network cut out for a little
yeah,
bit.
I
Mhm.
okay. So, but and then the more you came on and the more you were talking, that's
Mhm.
when I was saying to myself, and I even told Shy Lady this. I said, I'm going to approach him because I want to do a show with him. I want to do
Mhm.
something that's different from what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So you were always. I never saw you as like, oh, here's this guy coming again. I never
Yeah.
did, never did.
But I
And
think
Saba, the same with you. I never
yeah.
did,
Mhm.
never did.
Yeah. I think it's just again, it's being. I mean, our whole premise of the show, Friendly Differences, is as long as there's respect. And I'm glad that that night that I first entered your show, because I'm saying on my part, I could have been, the mood that I was in, it could have been a shitty mood, and I could have said the wrong thing, and that I'm not going back to that show. It's too, whatever, and not just your show, any show. And I feel that I'm really grateful that I didn't because having these conversations is what I love. Like challenging yourself in your beliefs, and that would never have happened if the discourse wasn't in the right manner, you know.
Okay,
All right.
my music, I produce music videos, by the way, for those of you who don't know. And I make hip hop type music. It's cathartic for me. It's a channel to release my toxins. It's a detox for me, so it's very toxic. So that's a disclaimer. And it doesn't necessarily represent me as uh, the person that I public. Like, it's my art thing, you know. And main channel is SJ187. So Sava J, it starts with SJ187, the numbers. If you can find it, good luck. And then,
We'll link it in the description.
huh?
We can link it in the description when we upload the
Oh,
video.
okay. There you go. There
Yeah.
you go.
So does the
Make it easy for people, I guess.
does the 187 does that have anything to do with a police code? Is that what the 187 is coming from?
I'll leave that up for interpretation.
Okay. All right. All right.
So, and then my other channel is me, myself, and INTP, because I am an INTP personality type, and I really like to raise awareness and bring the topic up, because I believe that if the 16 personality types and learning about people's cognitive functioning and how they can be socially engineered, I think is key to for humanity's salvation. I know that's a very broad and big claim, but if everybody understood each other better, and this is the only way to do it, then we would have less conflict, less misunderstanding, and we would have more unity and respect, and we could protect ourselves from social engineering.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that it's possible that, well, never mind. Never mind.
No.
I'm not going to ask that question. No.
Okay, well,
No.
whenever you're ready, you can ask.
So are you working on a podcast at all? Can you let us know?
Yes.
Especially me.
So me and another INTP, I've finally got a hold of one and wrestled him into submission, and and we are in development. However, be patient.
Okay.
We are, INTPs are huge procrastinators. We take a long time because we think a lot. We go the scenic route. We like to be thorough, and we don't like being humiliated or awkwardness, which we don't really have much awkwardness. Like we're constantly talking, so we're good on that part. But just the getting our brains and our schedules and our rhythms synced up enough to where we can be consistent and reliable. It's gonna take time, but we're on our way. We're like a slow. We're like,
Okay.
you know what I'm saying? So yeah, we're getting there.
Awesome. Can you at least tell us, is it going to be a Podbean podcast or?
Yes, it's going to be on Podbean.
Awesome.
My co-host is Crucible.
Oh,
and
right.
Yeah, you didn't know that? That's because
No, I
you
didn't know.
never message me anymore.
I know. Well, the same goes ways. I've got so many people on Telegram, but anytime
No, I
that
get it. You're all popular now. You're all
no,
popular.
you're in my group. I message every day, and
I know. I'm just kidding.
know.
I've been busy too with other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah. We're going to raise awareness in our own ways of this knowledge that should be common. And we want to interview Podbeaners. We want to bring light to them. We want to get to know people more in depth, and we want them to know themselves more in depth.
Okay.
And so that's
So
basically
is this going to be a personality based show?
When it comes right down to the nitty gritty, yes.
Okay.
but it's not going to be all, super focused on that. We're life is like a tree, there's branches and leaves
Yeah.
and sometimes buds.
Hmm.
That's
Cheers.
actually one of my upcoming shows about
What
trees.
is it?
Oh yeah,
Hmm.
Cool.
trees are fascinating
So yeah.
Hmm.
to me. I think
Hmm.
people are trees. We are trees
Uh,
in a way.
so
Hmm.
Yeah.
okay, all right.
Okay. Is there anything? Have you've obviously been you've been on a show before, Sava? Have you been listening to Friendly Differences? I was eager to find out if there was anything in particular. You've got any questions for us as hosts?
Well,
Any
not only have I
shows?
listened, but I've been on and I've commented,
Yes, you
Yeah, I
have.
know.
liked,
Yeah.
Yes, you have.
interacted. I agree. One of the main things that stood out to me when I became a content creator is I realized, like before I became a content creator, I digested a lot of content of other people, and I
Hmm.
never rarely hit liked or comment or anything like that. And once I became a content creator, that's when I realized like it's a really important part of the gig,
Hmm.
and so I encourage everybody out there, if you've got a thought in your head, don't be shy, don't
Yeah.
procrastinate, don't be lazy either, put it down in the comments, like support us. So let's support each other, even if you're not a content creator, because we need encouragement,
Mhm.
but
Well,
so
well,
some
not
things.
only. Well, no, I was just gonna say not only that is as long as you're not being just downright nasty. For me personally, if there's something that you disagree with or you don't like, I want to hear it. Because
Yeah.
that's part of the
Mhm.
whole thing. You just can't hear all the good stuff. You have to hear some of the
Yeah.
negative too. So
Un-
I was thinking
Unfortunately,
there,
you
like,
can't control everybody.
no, true, true,
yeah,
but
People are going to respond in their own way. It's how you receive it, which
no,
makes it what really
no,
matters.
true, true. But you do look at it where you see that, okay, so this got so many views, but then you look at the comments, it's like zero
yeah,
comments,
yeah.
And it's funny because when I'm on YouTube and stuff, I'm typing away, it's like I'm commenting,
You
but
know, that can be explained with the personality types,
so,
why that happens.
but I'm, I just believe, just from growing up, um, I always had something to say. You know, always
I
had
didn't
something
have
to
much to
say.
say until I did acid. I was a super duper introvert before age 30, before I did acid, pre-acid. Um,
Mhm.
I never spoke up. And when I did, it would be all jumbled up, and people would, they'd be like, "What's going on here?" Acid like changed me for the better. Now I can't shut the fuck up.
Mhm.
Well,
Maybe I should do acid because I mumble jumble a
Do
lot.
micro dosing though,
No,
or you know what?
I'm not.
It's your own
well,
personal journey. You do it the
Yeah,
way you end up doing it.
yeah.
I was very dangerous with it. I wouldn't recommend doing it the way I did. I did way too much acid, way too much.
Mhm.
And but everyone said it changed me for the better, so I'll accept.
Mhm. Yeah,
No regrets.
well,
awesome.
everybody has their
But
reasons for doing
I
things.
think I
No,
think
go
I was
ahead.
going to tell you guys about my other channel,
Mhm.
because that it kind of pertains. So my other channel is me, myself, and INTP, and what I do on there is I talk about the personality type, of course, but I also do this thing called alternative lectures, and there's only a couple on there right now. There used to be a lot more, but I would go back and listen to it, and I'd be like, ugh, I'll make more though. But
Okay.
the very very first video that's on there, scroll down all the way to the bottom, uh, and I mentioned doing the acid. It was my promo video, like my intro. I was gonna do a lot more alternative lectures like that, and I probably will here in the future. But um, if you like what you see, everybody, if you like what you see, leave a like or a comment or whatever. Encourage me, because that's what I need, and I'm
Mhm.
not afraid to admit that. I need attention. I need encouragement. I need supervision.
Awesome.
And I'm 37.
Well, there is nothing wrong with that. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean,
Awesome.
people have their reasons for doing certain things, and I mean, for me, the pod for me is therapy every single day. I have to speak out loud. So, and it's a stutter thing. It's like my son is funny because he'll say, "Mom, you're talking to who? And they're just so used to it because I talk out loud. I have to,
Mhm.
so this pod is this is what I do.
Therapy. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
You know
good.
what? A warning to all the other aspiring podcasters out there. When you utilize things like Anchor and Spreaker and you allow these other platforms to take that content and post it, good luck trying to get it off. So watch what you say. There's
Okay.
some pretty cringe podcasts out there of just me talking, and I just have to let it go. Um, I talk a lot of shit. If
That's why you
you
also have to be
really
careful
want
that
to
when
hear
you
it,
that when you post, because when
mhm.
I post my stuff, I never allow content to be used.
Okay.
Okay.
See, I
Yeah,
made that
so
mistake, and
yeah,
yeah,
and
there's some
I've
pretty
even
cringe things.
adjusted some things for friendly differences. Because people
Mhm.
will take it and they'll take that one thing you
They'll
said and
edit
they'll
it.
turn it
Yeah,
into something else,
they'll
whatever.
CNN it.
So,
Hmm.
so I mean, and
I
again,
dare anyone
they
to.
they all do it. So,
Mhm.
but yeah,
Okay, we're at the hour mark. So, if you would like to, first and foremost, Sava, thanks for coming on. I always love talking to you. And once we're done with the
Prove it.
show, send. Well, that's what I was going to say. Send me over a little description and include your channels, and I'll put that in the description, and I'll try better to stay in contact because Sava really helped me out roughly around about Christmas time with my health. I think I've talked a little bit about my chest pains and my heart palpitations since I had COVID in August. And it was getting to the stage at Christmas where I was really letting it bother me. And Sava taught me a lot about taking your own, what is it, the
Vitals.
pulse vitals. She taught me about taking the baths with the Epsom salts to detoxify your body. So that's the kind of stuff that I like. Something like that kind of sticks with you. So it's almost like something in me. Whenever I was sick, when I was little, I would always ask for my nanny, my grandma. They would be like, "Oh, I've got a sore head. I want to see my grandma." So now it's like, if I've got anything wrong, I'll pop on and talk to Sava.
Just call
But
your sister.
yeah.
Hmm.
So thanks again. And do you have any
thank
last
you.
anything to add, or do you want
Oh,
to
you're
just
asking
wrap
me
up?
or Saba? Saba, you have anything to add?
Both.
Oh,
If you have
well,
any
for
last
me, I
words.
again just thank you for coming on, and again, this was a chat, and it went this way and that way, and I thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I feel loved right now.
Well, I told
Awesome.
you that we were going to have you on,
Mhm.
so but okay.
Yeah.